Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and today I am showing you my favorite multi-chromes in palettes in my collection. So this is no singles, just multi-chromes that I have that exist in palettes. So if that sounds good to you, keep on watching. Before we get too far into the video, if you haven't already, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I upload videos twice a week. It's totally free to subscribe. And I would love to have you back again on the channel, chat to you in the comments. Love hanging out with you guys so much. And yeah, that's it. We're gonna go ahead and get into the multi-chromes now. So I have 8 different palettes to share with you today, and I know that might seem like a random number, but I just went through and picked, okay, what are my palettes with my favorite multi-chromes? Like, ooh, oh yeah, it has to be this one, it needs to be this one. And when I got to 8, I was like, okay, it's a weird number, but I don't want to cut any, and I also don't want to like just add two, even if they're not really my favorite. So that's where we are. We're gonna start with what's on my eyes today, and it's high-end, y'all. This is Pat McGrath. It's the only Pat McGrath palette I own. It is the Mothership 9, the Huetopian Dream palette. And if you have not seen it, here's what it looks like. Very exciting to me that Pat McGrath is in Ulta now, so you can use your Ulta points. And the special shade, the multi-chrome in this one, that is my favorite, is this purple. It's again what I have on my eyes today. Now this formula is different than a lot of the other multi-chromes I'm going to share with you today. I tend to really like the putty, squishy type formula of multi-chromes, but this one is much drier feeling. And when I say it's dry, don't get me wrong, I don't mean that in a negative way. But here it is. That's what it looks like. This has kind of an iridescent base, very, very reflective as you can see, and it is purple, blue, and pink. Hopefully you can see the different reflex. Some of these are more like taupery, like iridescent shades that I'm showing you today, and some of them are full-blown like opaque, strong shift multi-chromes. So that is the first one. Next one is from a palette fairly new to me. This is the Flower Moon palette from Ensley Rain Cosmetics. And if I have any videos filming further with these palettes, guys, I'll leave them linked in the cards or down below if I run out of room. Here's the Flower Moon palette. This one is also still available. And my favorite from this is this shade Bloom, which I don't even know that I used in my video when I filmed 2 looks, but it's very deceptive. First of all, this is more of a squishy, putty feeling one. And when you look at it, it just kind of looks like a gold, right? Like nothing special. But then when you swatch it, it is not only gold, but it also has green and pink in it. And I don't think you can really see it until it's spread out. So I'm gonna try to spread this one out quite a bit more. Hopefully you can see the shift, but that bottom one is the one I'm talking about. So again, it is gold, but then it's also got green and it's got some pink in it. I'm hoping between my finger swatch and the back of my hand swatch, I'm capturing all of the different flips of the color, but it is really hard to capture multi-chromes on camera. So the next one that is really, really nice is from Sugar Drizzle. This is from their Trick Roar Treat palette. This one called Reptar Candy. To me right now, looking in the monitor, it looks very red, but then when you look at it in the pan, it looks orange, and you can see when you flip it, there's also a green. Now this is a darker multi-chrome. Like I said, there's a variety I like. Some are more flaky, iridescent, taupery, some are lighter. This is a dark one, more of a black base that I really like. So there is on the finger, you can see probably the orange and maybe the red. I don't know if you can see the green or not there. And then here it is swatched out on the hand. I think you can see it a little bit better there. The red and the green and the orange, maybe even like a little yellow. Just depends how you hold it for this one, but that bottom color is what I'm talking about right now. Oh, it's so good. I just love multi-chromes, you guys, and I like having a variety of textures and depths of them because I do think it's useful to have several things depending on what kind of a look you're going for and what's going to best pair with everything else. The next couple are ones that are not available anymore, so I apologize about that. But at the same time, I want to mention them because you might have them in your collection. First off, from Odin's Eye is the Giant Wolves palette. That was their collection with Annette's Makeup Corner. And in this one, the shade Eternal. Now, it just kind of looks like an icy blue, right? Just like a light blue at first glance. But then when you swatch it, oh, there is much more than meets the eye to this one. So we have blue, green, and pink, but it's like a light icy version of those. That's the other thing. Like, I have several shades that are blue, pink, and green, but they're still different. You know, the depth is different. And a lot of times the texture is different. This is an extremely smooth multi-chrome. Hopefully you can see as I'm trying to angle it here, some of the different colors that are included in this one, but it is so pretty. Sometimes once I do the swatch, then it's easier to see on the finger too, a little bit of the shift. So hopefully you get an idea, but that one is so lovely. And not at all what you would expect when you look in the pan. And then the other one that's no longer available from Odin's Eye is the original Hello palette, their collaboration with Angelica Nyquist. And of course in this one, double-sided here, which kind of just looks white when you hold it up. That one is the multi-chrome that is one of my favorites. And it's kind of the same like concept as the one from Annette's, but it's got a different shift. So this one, instead of being blue, green, pink, is more of a gold to, I don't know, gold to pink to orange, peach. I don't really know how to describe that one. Hopefully you can see though on my hand they're different. The bottom one is the one from Angelica's collab palette. And again, these are, I would say, some of the smoother multi-chromes in my collection from Odin's Eye. A lot of the other ones have a bit of a different texture, which again, I like having all of them. It's not that I prefer one formula over the other. I think it really just depends on what you're going for, like for that particular look. Next up from Danessa Myricks, the Lightwork Volume 4 Transcendence palette. Now, this is a whole palette basically of multi-chromes. So you could say a lot of these are like favorites, right? But for me, my favorite is this one called Heaven. And it is specifically like pressed flakies. So it's still multi-chrome, but it's like more flaky. So the texture is a lot different. Oh, but this is gorgeous. And like I said, there's all kinds of multi-chromes in this palette. That's literally the point of it. But this one is blue and green and I don't know, maybe like a yellowy. It's kind of hard to tell with some of these because of just the number of pigments. There is the bottom one. Hopefully you can see it. Apologize if you can't. But that's the Heaven shade from the Danessa Myricks there on the bottom. Yeah, green, blue, and I would say, I don't know, maybe purpley pink, maybe yellow. There's a lot going on with that shade, and it just has so much more than meets the eye. And I think for a lot of these guys, that's what makes them my favorite multi-chromes in my collections, is that they aren't what you would think when you look at them in the pan. There is more than what meets the eye, and there is like that surprise effect of, oh, I didn't know it was gonna do all that. And that's what I really, really love about these. Next up from Glaminatrix Cosmetics, we have the You Beauty palette. I don't know if they're gonna bring this one back again, but even if they don't, I do believe this is available as a single. So even though you can't get the palette, I believe you should be able to get the individual shade. Favorite from this one is called Flaming Gala. Again, it kind of looks white, but it is pink and yellow and I don't know what else, maybe green. There's not much left on my finger after I swatched it. This is also a super smooth one. Similar feeling formula-wise to the Odin's Eye ones that I showed you guys. I don't have a ton of black-based or darker or even jewel-toned multi-chromes in palettes. I feel like a lot of times when I see them, they are lighter, and maybe you've got palettes I don't that you can recommend that have darker ones. I feel like a lot of the darker and jewel tones ones are singles, and I could redo this whole video and just show you my favorite multi-chromes in my collection of singles. That would be a whole other story of like Terramones, Cleona, like, you know, those kind of brands. So please let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing a video like that. I can definitely make that too. This was specifically palettes for this video. And I've saved my favorite multi-chrome that's in an eyeshadow palette for last. This is from Adept Cosmetics, and this is the House of L palette. It's not currently back, but I think she has talked about bringing this back, so I have hope it'll be available again if you didn't grab it before. And Zor L is my favorite multi-chrome, definitely in a palette in my collection, possibly my favorite multi-chrome period in my collection. It's very soft and squishy, more like the Ensley Rain than the others, but I would say the Ensley Rain is even squishier than this. This is my favorite shimmer formula of all time, still has been for a while now. And this one has gold, red, and green in it, and it is another dark one to end us off. Here's what it looks like. So gorgeous. It's extremely creamy. I would say this is the creamiest of all of them, but it's different than the Reptar candy from Sugar Drizzle. Let me grab that one again. The Reptar candy is this one. It's a lot more powder feeling, not as creamy and emollient feeling, and you can see on my fingers they are different with their shifts there. And you can probably see when I swatch it too. The bottom one is Reptar candy, and it's a bit more like a traditional metallic almost, versus the top one has a lot more like individual sparkly mica in it. And you can see too, hopefully, that the shift itself is different too. They're not, even though they're both black based, shifting the same colors. They both have that kind of like orangey reddy, but I don't know, they're different somehow. Hopefully you can see. They're not exactly the same. You could probably get similar vibes though, like if you don't have both of these or want both of these. This one, the Adept one, is my favorite just because I do really like having that glitz, that sparkle, that mica without it being a pressed glitter. That is my favorite, to have that extra sparkle. So yeah, guys, those are all of my favorite multi-chromes that are in palettes in my collection. Let me know what you have, what you don't have, what you like. Is there a multi-chrome in a palette that you have that I don't, that you think I forgot, or that I don't have in my collection? I would love to hear it in the comments. And thanks so much if you made it all the way to the end. I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye!